This is what I'm talking about, Chibi. 2B Hero X Glaze. We need more people talking about this show, bro. This is called I Hate Myself. I need to apologize for not listening to you all this sooner, bro. This is one of the best animes airing this season, if not the best. Am I glazing this? Absolutely. Does it deserve to be? I think so. If you haven't watched this because of the Arcane-esque 3D animation, you are doing yourself a disservice. One of the most engaging and fun pilot episodes that happened this season.
The way he parries the blast with his fist, and as he's like pushing the blast, you see him knock back his leg, and when he pushes the force of his leg, and he goes in, and he impact frames it. Oh, like
glaze. And you know what the craziest thing is? This might not even be the best animated sequence that's happened in the first episodes of Spring 2025. There's another anime no one is talking about that's even better than this, maybe. At this point, I think it's subjective, but I think Yaiba. Dude, Yaiba. Am I crazy for saying that Yaiba has better Sakuga animation than 2B Hero X? Maybe. But like, I think it's an argument that can be made. It's so cracked and no one's talking about that show either.
Yo, we gotta go back and look at this. Just like, look at how much cinema this sequence is. I love the cinematography here, the choreography.
The soundtrack, I think, was absolutely killing it. Perfect audio mixing, in my opinion, highlighting Hiroyuki Sawano's soundtrack way louder than Solo Leveling, which I think is the way to do it. And one of the coolest thing was the transition into this 2D, because it was 3D leading up to this one moment, and then they transitioned 2D, and it was so smooth.
The way this is, the audience can see what's going on, the movement of the character, the struggle as he's fighting back against the energy blast, and as he's like fighting back, you see him reposition his leg and push forward through the blast to knock this man back.
Yeah.
That's incredible, dude. That is cinema.
That's his boss, by the way. Fuck this guy.
Like, such a good sequence, man. Like, yo, I am ashamed of myself.
I was sold on this anime even before this scene, though. This is a cherry on top. This didn't need to exist for me to be hyped about this anime, because from the beginning, the overall storytelling, the direction, the pacing, it's so unique. It's so fast, kind of boom, 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 go, go, go. Very simple story of heroes in this like corporatized, dystopian world. Yet at the same time, there's so many layers of mysteries that's going on. I love it.
And I kind of hate myself a little bit for the fact that I have not watched this sooner. Like, this came out on April 5th, like 4 days ago.
Yeah.
And I finally dedicated some time to sit down and...
That's crazy, bro. I know that Crunchyroll numbers don't mean shit, but it's a decent metric to be comparing shows only on Crunchyroll. Bro, Solo Leveling hit like 4 times this. 3 times this. No, not 3 times. Sorry. 30 times. Solo Leveling is 30 times more popular than 2B. Oh my god. You know what? Maybe the Solo Leveling monkeys are actually stupid kids. Where'd they go? Why not watch 2B Hero X? Bro, what? These Solo Leveling tards can't appreciate good anime. Fuck them.
Sit down and watch this anime. And boy, oh boy, I'm just gonna say it, guys. Anime of the season.
Yes. Not even capping, not even overreacting. I think that this is my anime of the season. Judging by episode 1 only. Judging just by episode 1. The other animes of the season, maybe I'm glazing Yaiba a bit too much, but I was fucking with that story. And Devil May Cry, I think, is also such a fun and well-made show. There's a bunch of other shows then that comes after it, but I think those 3 are my top picks this season.
Out of everything I've watched so far from this season, I haven't watched like everything.
I've seen everything.
I've watched a lot. The only thing I have yet to watch, everybody's hyping up, is
Moonrise.
Lazarus.
Nah, Lazarus garbage, bro. Straight up. Save yourself the time. I'm gonna get canceled for this take. During my reaction to Lazarus, I ended up giving it a score of 8. And when I said that number, 8, during the recording session, I knew deep inside that I didn't mean what I said. I felt pressured to at least give it an 8. because of the studio working on it, because of the Cowboy Bebop style aesthetics and the overall like cinematic, vibes that they're going for with the parkour and the great, camera work in the background and blah, blah, blah. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized, this shit a fucking 7 out of 10 setup. I'm sorry. That's my honest feelings now. It's the score has been taken away. I'm recalibrating the Lazarus episode 1 to be around 7 to 7.5. I like the premise. I like the concept of Dr. Skinner. 6 out of 10 setup. Cinchi, you said 7 out of 10 setup last time. You dropped your score too. Again, like, I think that Mappa Slav, you might be right, bro. I think that I saw the brand name Mappa and I was glazing it without really thinking it through. Again, if they did less of the parkour and more of the world building upon Dr. Skinner's like doomsday plot, which I think is so cool, maybe it would be a higher rating, but I don't think Lazarus is anywhere close to 2B Hero X in terms of my personal enjoyment of the episode.
And Cinderella Grey. Besides those two,
Oh, Cinderella Grey. Yo, Uma Musume being part up right now.
Gotta say, 2B Hero X, hands down, best first episode. If it stays this consistent throughout its entire airing and runtime, it's not gonna be beat.
I hear it's the same studio as Link Click too. Yo, this Chinese studio is cooking.
Dare say, if it gains momentum and a lot of people start talking about this more, this will become anime of the year.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. Like,
let's not get ahead of ourselves. I don't think this will ever be anime of the year because that kind of things are popularity contests, and you've already seen the ratings on Crunchyroll. Again, the ratings don't mean shit, but if we're going to be taking a standardized comparison of what exists in the Crunchyroll, a lineup, Solo Leveling viewership, bro, 200k likes average, easy. This shit can't even break 10k. It's like stuck at 6 point something. Dude, Solo Leveling is like 30x, 30 times, maybe a little bit more. It's not crazy. The reach of 2B Hero X is very limited. But if we ignore all of those stupid ass ratings, I could put this up there. I could put this shit up there, yeah.
I'm legitimately not joking. If this gains more momentum, because I see this really getting popular. Like, for instance, this is just the first episode.
Yeah.
And typically when it comes to...
Oh, it's getting 2 cores too or something, right? Maybe not 2 core, but it's getting like 20-something episodes, by the way.
Anime, the third episode, sometimes the fourth episode, is where some big things happen within story progression, at least for anime format. And if the third episode is as good as this, or even better, it's gonna blow up. Like, you're gonna have everybody talking about it.
Maybe. I have one concern about this anime, and it's the fact that there's 10 separate heroes that seems to all have different storylines. Everyone is invested into the, Lingling's, Mr. Nice story hero line. I don't know how it's going to be handled, but if the next couple episodes suddenly goes into a different perspective of a different hero that the fans don't really fuck with, the momentum could die off that fast.
I predict that. I legitimately do. Now, I do want to say a few things, okay?
Yeah.
I gotta show you guys the beginning of the episode.
The
because
3D.
when I show it, it's gonna give you a massive whiplash. Because it shocked me when I started this episode.
3D.
So let's just get right to it.
I think it looks fine. Genuinely. I think that the 3D aesthetics is pleasing to the eye. I don't look at this and go gross. I think it's such a unique style.
You're not telling me when you take a hard look at this, you don't see Arcane.
I see Arcane.
I know I did.
Yeah.
And when I first saw this, I was like, wait a minute, is this actually like an anime? Did I click on the right thing? Because I was under the impression this was going to be anime style.
Yeah, it's fair. That's what I felt when watching the trailers too. The trailers was like 3D into 2D, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Is this 2 separate shows?
But I looked at the site. Obviously, I'm on Crunchyroll. I scrolled down, 2B Hero X. It has an anime poster, and I was just like, is this like legit? Like,
yeah, it's legit, bro.
Is this actually, look at this cover, by the way. It looks godly.
Beautiful.
But like, I was
unfortunate that there's only 8.4k ratings, bro. Man, this is really stuck and can't go out to a more mainstream audience. It doesn't need to, right? But it's nice to have way more people, experiencing something that you enjoy.
It's like, is this actually an anime? And I looked into it, yeah, I wasn't mistaken. It's actually an anime, but it's very clear that whoever, from what I'm hearing, apparently the link click director
Yeah.
worked on this, is like the big like head honcho on this project, and if so, it makes a lot of sense.
A lot of people glaze Link Click. I haven't seen it just yet, but I hear it's an amazing story.
But whoever worked on this, everybody involved, so to speak, they need a pay raise, first of all. But secondly, it's very clear that they wanted to give people's impressions of the show when they started it, the impression of Arcane. Nothing wrong with that. I think it's very unique. I think it stands out. And I think that it has a lot of ways it can really actually blow up in terms of popularity. And so let's segue in.
Or not blow up in popularity. Straight up, I think that the Arcane market, the audience that watches Arcane are not like your regular seasonal anime watchers. I think it's fundamentally different. And now that this is trying to hit that seasonal anime audience, maybe the viewership is also reflective of its failure to do so.
Into that one. So we need to talk about the actual uniqueness, the experimental art and animation of this anime, a TV anime at that. Now, there might have been more anime like this in the past I'm unaware of, and if so, clarify it for me in the comments below. I will gladly accept that. But at least from what I have watched, there's very few anime that look like this.
Yeah.
The only thing that comes to mind I can even imagine that looks even similar to this is Arcane, and that's not an anime, okay? But typically, when you have an anime that is unique in terms of art style and animation, there's two ways it can go. It is thrown in the dumpster bin because it was so ambitious that it just lost track of what it was, and people think it's just gross, and they throw it in the dumpster. Or it's so ambitious, and it's done so well, and the story is so strong alongside of it, that it's able to flourish and become one of the best anime of all time.
I think it's a hybrid in the middle. I don't think this is a black and white situation. Because clearly this is not in the dumpsters, but clearly this is also not able to reach the same metrics on Crunchyroll like Solo Leveling. Again, Crunchyroll ratings don't mean shit. But if you're going to compare both in a standardized way where they both exist in the same environment, it's a pretty decent comparison. So I don't think it's going to be completely dying. Like clearly it has hit the target audience that it's intended and it's doing well enough, but not to the same peak or the ceiling that mega titles like Solo Leveling can achieve.
You don't believe me? Let me give very solid examples of anime that have very unique animation art styles that is still talked about to this day.
Ping pong.
One recent example, Panty and Stalking.
Oh, okay.
Everybody recognizes it. It's very unique for what it was for an anime style. It stands the test of time, and it is a reason why it is a cult classic. Gurren Lagann, Dragon Ball, Kill la Kill. Hell, let's just say...
You think we need to go to Bilibili for this? Just for a Chinese anime? You know what? Fuck it. We have a... Kaka TV 4 will be Bilibili only, where we only react to Chinese anime there.
Everything from Studio Trigger and Gainax was very unique for their styles. And when a studio does a very unique style, typically they can become very popular if it's done very well. And in this case, that's what I think is going to happen to 2B Hero X. If this anime stays very consistent with its art and animation and has a very solid foundation of a story that remains consistent going forward, then this will probably be not just the anime of the season, but potentially a runner-up or even the anime of the year.
I think that's a bit too much. I think that there's so many anime projects coming out in summer and potentially fall too that's just gonna basically rewrite everyone's mind. This is just like recency bias. This is an amazing anime. I think it definitely can be anime of the season. Anime of the year though, we can probably put it up there for competition and do a reflection after, the hype dies down.
I could see this becoming popular. I could see this becoming the talk of the town.
I don't see how this can become popular though. And I think that I'm wrong here, and I hope I'm wrong. But my impression is, if it doesn't bang right off the gate, it's very rare that it's going to pick up that hype. Solo Leveling did not just pick up hype out of nowhere. From the beginning, there was an existing audience, and they hyped the shit out of it, and the numbers were already there. It was already breaking records. So my impression is, it's an all or nothing right out of the gate, where if you can't be breaking records or getting significant, viewership like that and ratings, then it's very unlikely that you're just gonna somehow in the middle of the season get those numbers. Now, maybe there's some crazy fucking scene that happens and a clip goes viral and everyone's talking about To Be Hero X on like a, on like episode 6 or some shit, right? Maybe like some crazy shit like I Love Amelia from ReZero, moment happens, man. Who knows? Maybe like a ReZero episode 15 moment happened with the credit rolling, right? Maybe that could revitalize it, but my assumption is, again, if you're not banging right out of the gate, then you're kind of limited in trying to reach that ceiling of peak viewership.
If there is a very high quality episode that's even beyond this episode that just blows everyone away, at the right time, right place, the episode comes out, it will build a lot of traction. I sense it. It's going to happen. If, like I said, it stays consistent. Now, with that being said, we do need to talk about the story, because obviously I've made it fundamentally clear that the art and animation is fantastic. I love the shifting of 3D to 2D within this episode. It is phenomenal. The way the backgrounds are used and all that. It's fun. It's a very fun and beautiful show to watch. Also, a little tidbit. I watched this in dub. I know I'm probably going to get some flack for that.
Okay,
I
fair.
usually watch only sub, but I'm not going to.
There's an amazing lineup for the Japanese voice actors for this, man. There's some like Tanjiro's voice actor is the main character, Lin Lin. And there's so many popular voice actors for this project, which I think is so smart. Supercube is a Chinese anime that has crazy animation like this that's airing right now, I hear, but the story is actually kind of ass. But they also don't have like Japanese voice acting. I think that having Japanese voice acting is so important because like this is nothing against Chinese voice acting, but to that seasonal anime audience, for their like familiarity and comfort, if you don't have that, I think it like turns them away.
Lie, the dub wasn't bad for this. Like, it actually was really good. Apparently the original language is Chinese, so FYI on that one. But the dub, English dub, not bad. But let's get into the story. So the story is pretty basic, but not basic.
Yeah, it's simple, but there's so much complexities because the premise is society is ruled by heroes. And the hero system is such that if more people cheer for you, then you get stronger. But there's also this like, the main character Nice, like the main hero Nice, he suicides immediately, and then we become him, and we literally become him. Not just like makeup, but like the more that we believe and get hyped up, the more we actually physiologically change into him. There's like, what's going on? Is this a position? Have there been previous candidates that's always been made into Nice and stuff like that? So there's a lot of mysteries going on to Theorycraft about.
It is not a carbon copy of typical or traditional hero series. There is some DNA, but it is very different, and so let's explain. Basically, if you think this is going to be a My Hero Academia clone, you're sadly mistaken. If you think this is going to be maybe a Marvel movie ripoff of some case, you're probably going to be mistaken as well. Maybe there's a comic like it from Marvel or DC, but at least from what I've seen from, like, Marvel movies, and what I've seen from My Hero Academia, for example, this is nothing like it. So if you think this is going to be a retelling or rehashing of something like that, or tread that same ground, no, it's not. The only thing that's really similar to it is that there's heroes and villains within this world. That's really the only takeaway you can get, and that's common sense just when you look at the title of the series. So, the beginning of the story starts off with our main male character here. He gets into a heated debate, or let's say argument, with his boss. His boss doesn't like his work, he doesn't like what he's been doing, and so our MC effectively gets fired. And so, upon getting fired, he does what any mentally stable individual does. He goes on top of a rooftop building, he contemplates life, and it's very clear what's probably about to happen here. He starts to curse everything in the world.
It's so dystopian how, like, as soon as he's about to do this, a fucking commercial shows up. A commercial he made, by the way. It's like, hey, does your life suck? Don't worry. You can watch a reality TV show about our love and make yourself feel better. Immediately, you know that this is like peak dystopian capitalistic society.
He starts to curse about, like, how things could have been different, or the heroes are on top, for instance, like Nice here. He's just very upset overall. And eventually, as he's just getting very upset, eventually the actual hero, Nice, does appear before him. He doesn't really make any, conversation. He doesn't really talk with him.
He just
straight up walks off the building.
Bye.
And yes, he walks off the building. This is not an illusion. Just straight up. And yes, he does unalive. That's it. He's done. And the entire episode's premise, the foundation of the story, is basically started thanks to this. Thanks to this iconic hero, I think he's rank 10, actually.
Yep, rank 10.
This hero, okay, his death, obviously, is hush-hushed. It's swept under the rug. And the reason for that is because our main male character has now
Becomes
happened to
him.
live that hero's life.
And the way that Miss J is such a funny character. She's such an evil ass bitch, bro. She's such a bossy boss. But she low-key based. And like the way that she was so eager to just turn him into nice, and it felt like this is not the first time. You know what I mean? So again, more theories that like nice is a title, and there has been previous candidates that have, you know, stepped up to this plate, and they all become depressed because this line of work, and it's just so dystopian and so depressing. So that's why the previous nice, you know, jumped off the building.
Nice himself. Become that hero, get his hair painted or dyed, so to speak. He has to become that man and stand in for him.
And he actually becomes him though, right? The more that the fans like love him, like physiologically, his body changes.
And live his life, get his, you know, achievements, get his prestige, get his fans, even get his girlfriend. He is up to task, basically. He is the person now that has to live that man's life, even if he didn't want to. He is now forced to. His old life is effectively over. So it puts him in the shoes of a hero that is very well known, very notorious, but now he's this no-name guy that really had nothing going for him, but now he's in the shoes of a very big celebrity. So you can already see where this is going. He's having to live like a double life, or in this case, he's living a life of lies, and the lie is becoming his new truth. And as he continues to live this life, and these truths become more truth, or the lies become truth, so to speak, his old life will cease to exist. It will disappear, so to speak, and his old self will just fade away. And the reason for this, in the middle of the episode, it is implied or established that as more people, the public reception believes in something in terms of trust,
Power of
that
faith.
means that it becomes a reality. I don't really know the full example of how it fully works, but it's basically implied as more people believe in his lies and what he's saying, and they believe it's actually the truth, then he will gain power. He will
Yeah, these heroes' powers are scaled based on how much people support you. If you're like a social media influencer and everyone is glazing you, I guess you become so OP. And the inverse as well. And then there's also like the monster system, right? Where the fears, rather than trust, right? Rather than people trusting you and having all this faith put into you and cheering you on, if there is that sense of fear, then you become like a villain, which I think is pretty simple but cool.
get stronger, and, you know, he will become more and more like the actual hero Nice was. And he will become him, even if he'll actually eventually come to the point where he'll start to believe
Yeah, it is an actual aura farming system, straight up. The more aura you have, the better you are.
that he is Nice himself as well, which does technically happen at the end of the episode when he is fighting the big bad villain that has a lot of fear pouring into him.
And one thing about this show so far, other than just like the basic description of what's happening in the episode, the comedy. The comedy, usually I don't find animes funny. I think a lot of anime humor goes over my head because of culture or language barriers, wordplay, and so on, not just reaching me. Something about this one, bro, like that Chinese humor to, I don't know how to describe it, but I can only describe it as Chinese humor because it's just Chinese product. It hits, bro. It's so funny. There's little like unique things being done here and there. For example, like this boss. It's so relatable how everyone is like losing their jobs and having layoffs, and bro is like sending rejection emails as part of his like monster powers, which is so funny to me. There is also that other guy, right? Like in the middle of like the dating, you know, the interview about how Nice has to be confronted. Is this your girlfriend? And obviously he can't lie, but then he works around it and says, no, this is not my girlfriend. This is my goddess. It's just like, oh, shut up, you. And like the other thing of the interviewer, you know, being called rank 250, and he's like, I'm not 250, I'm actually 249. Like the overall storytelling and the humor really aligns with my interests. So I enjoyed this episode a lot.
So I think that in general, I like the establishment of the power system, at least when it comes to trust and it comes to fear and all that. It's pretty unique. So basically, people get stronger thanks to the belief system. That's what I believe. If I am wrong in any way, please correct me.
That's pretty much it, I think.
But regardless, he's living a life of lies. And it comes to the point to where he believes he's actually the OG hero Nice, and that's where it leads into the ending conclusion of the episode. As he's going back to his actual house, or his new home technically, he gets to see his, or Nice's girlfriend, now his girlfriend, but she is unaware of it, so to speak. She doesn't know. But he covers her up because he's not a sleazebag. He wants to make sure she's not out in the open showing any goods or anything like that. He's trying to be a good man. And as he's like walking away, trying to give her some privacy, he notices that she's not alive. She's gone. And this is a big cliffhanger that the episode leaves us on, because the episode establishes not the original hero Nice, but our new Nice, the MC. His entire motivation, his goal and objective, why he's even able to live this life now in such a truthful way, is because of her. But now that she is dead, will he have a mental breakdown? Will he longer be able to live those lies? You know, because the very reason for his existence is kind of gone. But it's not just that as well. It also makes you wonder what happened to her, because it was clear in the middle of the episode she was A-okay. She was completely alive. She's right here.
It could be a body double. It could be a fake death. It just doesn't really look like suicide, so maybe it's not the same case as, you know, Nice in the beginning of the episode jumping off the building, or are they two related? I don't know. This is what I'm talking about. A simple premise with superheroes and villains, but a lot of mysteries and layers of complexity.
There's nothing wrong with her, but then you see that and you're like, okay, so what's going on here? Well, if you want my fan theory, don't worry, I've been spoiled, but this is my theory.
All right.
I think the girl we see in this episode is
not her
as well.
Yeah, could be.
I mean, what?
I agree. I think that all these heroes and titles, bro, I think they are just titles, and a bunch of different actors or actresses are being put into those positions.
Think about it. If these managers and stuff of this company can make an entire hero disappear that's that popular and turn into someone else, what's to say they haven't done it before?
Yep.
So I'm under the impression that the girl is also a fake and not even the original person that he likes. And the girl in the bed is the original, which is probably why Nice, aka the original hero, jumped. That's my assumption.
Yeah, I think that death definitely could be connected. Like, why did he jump? Did he just hate the job so much? Is there something more deeper into it? I think episode 2 will explain more about that, and there's like a link here.
So yeah, I think in general, I really like this show.
Me too.
It's excellent from start to finish. I love the contrast of animation from 3D to 2D. The story is very strong. It has a lot of things going for it. It has nice cohesion with everything. The voice acting is great. I haven't seen the Japanese yet, the Japanese version of this.
It's so good. The voice acting cast is so elite.
I will have to, but the dub is really good. I really like this, and I don't know, man. It's fun, man. I gotta say, anime of the season for me. So far, out of everything, best anime yet. Hands down. So I'll leave it at that.
I think Chibi is missing out Yaiba too, though. I think he's doing himself a disservice by not checking out Yaiba or even Devil May Cry. Those 3 are the most standout first episodes to me. I'm sure the ratings will change as we go deeper into the season. I think one thing that Chibi didn't really mention about is the audio, bro. The soundtrack. Hiroyuki Sawano. His soundtrack being played in this episode did more to me than any of the moments in Solo Leveling. And I'm not saying this because of recency bias. I think that in Solo Leveling, right, Hiroyuki Sawano's soundtrack, even like shit like Shadowborn, you can't really hear it. It does not have that like prominence that you hear in Attack on Titan or any of his other shows where the soundtrack is kind of leading, right? It's such a hype soundtrack. And during this scene, bro, during this fight scene, bro, the way that it was just like blasting, it wasn't overbearing. It wasn't drowning out everything else. I think it was perfect. And the soundtrack, along with the peak Sakuga moment with the 3D to 2D translation, it was just transition. This is just like the best first episode of anime that I saw personally this season. If you haven't seen this anime, you are missing out. Please check out Chibi's video. Here's link click. Sorry, not link click. This is To Be Hero X. I'll see you next time.